Death Derby, a post-apocalyptic card game. Goals: win the race, kill your opponent, whatever works. The world. The year is 2200 and survivors of man-made and natural disasters struggle to live in a world poisoned and devastated beyond recognition. The new extreme sport and source of income for many are death derby races in which competitors vie to win or just to survive. Minimum supplies needed: 1 10-sided die for combat rolls, token to mark vehicle positions on the track, and pen and paper to tally points and vehicle damage. Card overview: 104 total. Track section cards: 15, green border. These form the track. Vehicles: 12, blue border. Players choose vehicles randomly unless agreed otherwise. Vehicle card information: strength, red, is how much damage a vehicle can take. Speed, green, is how far a vehicle can move each round and cannot be reduced to less than 1. And handling, gray, determines how much speed it takes to move into a track section and can't be reduced below 1. Each vehicle has 1 or more small, large, or turret weapon mounts. Some have a modifier to be hit that also indicates their relative size to each other. Action cards: 40, yellow border. These are various actions that can be performed. They cost points. There are 2 of each. Modification cards: 37, orange border. These are weapons, armor, and other mods that fit on vehicles. They cost points. There is 1 of each. Game setup: all cards are separated. Modification and action cards are shuffled together to form the draw pile. Leave enough room for the discard pile and for the track to go around them both. Players will also need room for their vehicle. Players roll for high number to see who goes first. Winner of the last race goes first if a derby is in progress. Players form the track by drawing track sections at random and laying them counterclockwise around the draw and discard pile. A standard track is 10 sections long. The first section drawn is start and is turned sideways. Each player randomly picks their vehicle and places their vehicle token on start. Players take turns drawing 1 card at a time until they have 7. Players can mod their vehicle with their initial hand, first draw, and 30 starting points. Player turn overview: the player draws from either the draw pile or the discard pile. The discard pile is reshuffled if there isn't a draw pile left. Player installs any modifications they want before leaving start. Player moves vehicle counterclockwise as far as they can or want. Points are tallied as earned or lost. Player discards 1 card to end their turn if they hold more than 3. Player rotation is counterclockwise and the same as race in track direction. Game round overview: a game round is a complete rotation of players. A player can attack any time in the round since race action takes place at the same time. Action effects that last a full round aren't exhausted until rotation returns to the player that used the action card. Points: players start with 30. Each track section traveled is worth 1 point. Each point of damage inflicted upon a competitor is worth 1 point, and finishing a lap is worth 10 points. Killing a competitor in a game with 3 or more players is worth 5 points in addition to the points gained from damage. Players cannot gain more points than a vehicle's strength. For instance, if a vehicle is at 2 strength and is hit for 5 damage, the attacking player gains 2 instead of 5. There is an exception. If the previous vehicle got repaired for 6 in response to damage done, points are awarded for all damage because it was dealt and repaired. Points are tallied as used or gained. Modifying vehicles: modifications can only be installed while on the start section. Players can install mods once per visit to start. Installing a new mod of the same type replaces any other mod of the same type unless noted otherwise. The mod type is the last word of the card name. For example, armor and tread. Weapons are typed small and large within the card info. 1 weapon can be installed per mount, and installing a new weapon replaces the last. Mods cannot be removed any other way once installed unless they are destroyed. Small weapons fit in any mount or turret. Large weapons go in large mounts or turrets. Only damage above an armor mod's bonus stays with a vehicle if armor is destroyed. Movement. Track sections cost X speed to move into with a minimum of 1. X is 1 plus the difference between the vehicle's handling and the section's difficulty. If a section has 10 difficulty and a vehicle is 5 handling, it costs 6 speed to move into that section. If the difficulty is 3 and handling is 5, it will cost 1 to move. Vehicles stop where they are if they can't move into the next section. Speed is refreshed at the beginning of every round. Vehicles can move a minimum of 1 track section per round. Players can stop early, such as on start for mods or to let someone get in weapon range, but cannot use unused speed later in the round. Players cannot install mods and continue traveling on the same round they reach start. They can install mods when they arrive or wait until after they draw a card on their next turn. Players can move backwards to entrap faster opponents so long as they don't pass start, but points for movement are only earned for forward momentum at 20 per lap, 1 per section, plus 10 for lap completion. Action cards. These can be used anytime points are available. The last one played ends a string of actions, but doesn't change the points earned or spent. For example, Player A hits Player B for 5 damage. Player B states they will do nothing and take the damage. Player A responds with a critical hit. Player B then uses Ricochet to bounce the damage back to Player A, whom then uses a major repair. End result. Player A is fully repaired and receives points for the damage dealt to themselves, and both players have paid all point costs for action cards they used. Combat. Vehicles cannot attack or be attacked while on start. Weapons can fire at vehicles on the same section, one behind or one ahead unless otherwise stated. Vehicles in front can be shot with front and turret-mounted weapons. Those behind can be shot with rear and turret-mounted weapons. Who can shoot who is determined by total modified speed if vehicles are on the same section. Faster vehicles use rear and turret-mounted weapons. Slower vehicles use front and turret-mounted weapons, and those tied can only shoot with turret-mounted weapons. Players can only attack once per round, but can attack any time during the round instead of only on their own turn. All weapons have a 50% base chance of hitting as determined by a 10-sided die. A roll of 1 through 5 is a hit, and 6 through 10 is a miss. The chance to hit is adjusted by all modifiers from the vehicles and weapons involved. For instance, the X-Quad has a -1 to be hit without additional modifiers, making 1 through 4 a hit and 5 through 10 a miss. The hovercraft has +2 to be hit without additional modifiers, making 1 through 7 a hit and 8 through 10 a miss. A natural 1 is always a hit, and a natural 10 is always a miss. A player is out of the race if their vehicle reaches 0 strength. Vehicles can only be repaired with action cards, and are not auto-repaired at any stage of the game. Points for damage are only gained after action cards are resolved. Finishing a race/derby. A standard race is 3 laps unless one is left standing. The first to win 2 races wins a derby. If 2 or more players finish a race on the same round, the winner is the vehicle with the highest modified speed. If still tied, player with the most points wins. If a tie still exists, players roll for high number. The player with the most points after damage is tallied wins the race if all vehicles are destroyed in the same round. Players roll for high number to determine the winner if points are tied. Preparing for the next race. Points are reset. All cards held and mods in play go in the discard pile. The draw and discard piles stay where they are. Track sections are shuffled together and a new track formed. The last race winner can choose to keep their vehicle. Everyone else must draw a new one. Used vehicles are put aside until the end of the derby unless there's not any more to pick from, in which case they're reshuffled. Modified decks. Modified decks must contain a minimum of 50 actions and modifications, consisting of no more than 4 of the same action card and 2 of the same modification. Players with their own decks to play with must have a minimum of 4 vehicles to pick from and maintain their own draw and discard piles. The track is created from the largest single selection of track cards available unless otherwise decided.